Well, good day, viewers. Today we have this 2007 Mazda CX9 all-wheel drive, and we're changing the rear drive shaft because its hanger bearing has failed and they're not serviceable. Looking it up, Dorman makes a two-piece replacement for this drive shaft. This is three pieces. The Dorman shaft ranges from about 1,200 to 1,500 Canadian, my cost. This one was sourced by Superior Drivelines here in Thunder Bay, and it was under $700. So it's a three-piece drive shaft, looks like OE, which is a decent price. So we're gonna put it up in the air and I'll show you what's failed on it. So here's the front hanger bearing here. You can see that the rubber mount is pretty bad, but this back one has failed completely. So when you're driving it at the right load, it'll start doing this. Creates a huge shudder in the driveline. So we got 4 fasteners at the back here, 2 hanger bearings. This thing was recently undercoated, so it's covered in slippery, slimy grease. And 4 fasteners at the front. I did change the power takeoff unit in this a couple of years ago, which was a huge challenge. But so these, I don't want to jinx it, these bolts should come out. Let's see, do we have to? I don't know if we're going to have to remove this. I don't think so. I'm going to try and lower it at the back and pull it out from the front. Well, let's get started. So there are 4 bolts at the front, cap screws at the front with 14 mil heads. There they are there. Normally if you were taking the drive shaft off with the intent of reinstalling it, you would have to mark it, but that's irrelevant because we're replacing it. So next we're going to drop the rear shaft. Now this has bolts and nuts by the looks of it. Yeah. So there's the original drive shaft off. You can see this hanger bearing has failed completely. This one is right behind it. It's also broken. And like I said, you can't service these hanger bearings. The shaft is welded together, which is very common for most small SUVs today. So change the entire drive shaft, even the U-joints, although they are staked in. I think they are serviceable now, but it's still a pain in the ass to change them because the inside where the locks would go is not machined, so you have to file them. I've done a couple of Honda CRVs. So we got to clean up the flanges with a Rolox sanding disc. Make sure that these surfaces are clean on the front and back. When you're taking these bolts out of the hanger bearing, spray some penetrating fluid up through here to lubricate the top of the bolt, and don't try and take them all out at one time. Work them back and forth because they rust up inside, and if you break a bolt off, well, it's going to be painful. So we're going to clean everything up and get ready to reinstall it. So when you're putting the mounts back up, the bolt goes from the bottom. This rubber spacer goes from the top, and there is a washer on top as well that goes against the floor. So make sure that all those pieces are in place. I put Never-Seez on these threads and Loctite on the bolts. So there's the drive shaft reinstalled. Again, no point indexing it because it's a new shaft. I cleaned this surface off so it's nice and straight and flat. 42 foot-pounds for the nuts, 42 foot-pounds for the front fasteners, and 38 foot-pounds for these 4 bolts that hold the hanger bearings to the floor. Remember to get the washer on top there. So that's it. That's all this one should require, and it's you can put a wrench in there or a bar in there to hold one bolt so the drive shaft doesn't turn while you're torquing the other bolts. Take it for a road test, but I'm sure it's going to be fine.